Now let's look at some of the specific things that the region is doing to deal with current and future regulations and our efforts to enhance our relationships with regulatory agencies, tribes, and other interest groups.
We are currently experimenting with a silvicultural treatment that combines stand density management with an extended rotation. This treatment involves commercially thinning harvest age stands to leave the best 70 to 90 trees per acre. Then we'll hold those trees for an additional 15 to 25 years. Some of the objectives of this program are to grow large, high-quality logs that will give us a competitive advantage in the log markets of the future, to encourage understory growth that will develop into wildlife habitat resembling the late successional forests that normally take much longer to develop, and to generate current revenue through commercial thinning volume. This program will also assist Champion by enhancing relations with state regulatory agencies like the Department of Wildlife and the Department of Natural Resources. These units will be monitored for tree growth and yield, wildlife habitat development and use, and both short and long-term economic feasibility. If successful, this program will provide a useful component of any landscape-oriented approach to managing Pacific Northwest forests that may develop in the future.
This 90-year-old timber stand recently sold for the most ever for timber sold from Champion lands in the Pacific region. We export most of the fir from these areas, and the Japanese are willing to pay a premium for this type of log. Some of the reasons they pay that premium are smaller, tighter knots, better grain. The larger log produces more vertical grain lumber, gives you more options for lumber sizes, and produces more laminated beam stocks. Exposed beams are a very important part of a Japanese house. This 90-year-old timber stand not only gives us a competitive advantage, it also provides for late successional habitat for wildlife.
This area is considered key winter range for deer and elk. To improve the wildlife habitat values, we seeded several small harvest units with grasses and clovers considered preferred forage. The project was initially completed through partial funding by the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. Subsequently, we planted some preferred brush species that will benefit both the deer and elk as well as many species of songbirds. Participation in cooperative projects such as this continues to strengthen Champion's image in Washington State as a leader in land and resource stewardship.
This chip thinning operation is a forester's dream come true. We finally have the opportunity to make a profit. At the same time, we're improving the growth and the value of our final crop trees. Prior to this operation, it cost $40 to $60 per acre to cut the suppressed trees in the stand in a pre-commercial thinning. Now we can do the stand improvement work without having to ask for capital budget dollars. Higher value small saw logs are selected first, set aside for separate handling. The remaining trees down to a 2-inch top go to a chain flail debarker and into the chipper for clean chips.
Champion and the Washington State Department of Natural Resources are testing sheep grazing as an alternative to herbicides. The idea is to use the selective grazing preferences of sheep to release the trees in our plantations. After about 3 years of grazing, it should control the competing vegetation enough that the trees can dominate the sites. Sheep grazing are not as effective as herbicides, but there are no costs except the time it takes to monitor the program. The downside to sheep grazing is that anyone who tries it will be ribbed about it for the rest of their professional careers.
To make the final selections for the Special Places program, we involved participants from regulatory agencies as well as local special interest groups. The Special Places Committee met with individuals including Washington Department of Wildlife personnel, Washington Department of Natural Resources personnel, and local individuals selected for their interest in wildlife, the environment, and outdoor recreation. We believe that by involving a wide range of interests, we were able to choose areas of highest value to the general public, and build better relationships with these groups in our ongoing effort to improve our competitive advantage. The Dead Canyon area was chosen for its wide diversity of wildlife habitat and its remoteness. It is also a potential release site for bighorn sheep. The Bacon Creek area was chosen for its ecological uniqueness. We have received a lot of positive feedback from those involved in both the process and the areas selected.